Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols, and I'm here to bring you your Nichols worth. And with Tyndale Bibles, it seems in the review world, it is either feast or famine. And right now we are in Feastland. Check out all these Bibles that they sent me for review. Now these are not necessarily new releases, although the One Year Bible is a newish release, but these are what they call line extensions, where they take an existing Bible and put a new cover on it just to kind of refresh it. So we're going to take a look at all this stuff. But first, let's start off with one of the most monumental Bibles in my life, and that's the one that led me to the Lord, and that is the Life Application Study Bible. These are in a personal size, so these are going to be a little smaller than your standard large size Life Application Study Bibles, but that also means the print is going to be a little bit smaller, but they are very nice, very hand-sized. They're going to be in that 5.5-ish by 7.5-ish range in that personal size, but really nice and thick. Love the spine work here, just simple, easy. Really like this accent stitching on this two-piece cover. I really love the Life Application Study Bible. But when you open this, that font is small. This is 7.29 font. So this is little. It's manageable as a font size. It's going to have some maps. Its commentary is all about how to apply the scripture to your daily life. It's going to have nice poetic settings. Of course, this is going to be in the NLT. It does have some red accents here and there. Really nice. And then when you get to the New Testament, the words of Christ are in red. This thing is loaded with charts. I have reviewed the Life Application Study Bible multiple times. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and put a playlist to all the NLTs I have reviewed on the end screen. But this is a lovely, lovely Bible. It's one especially nice to give someone who is a new believer. And then they just updated it in a bonded leather cover. So if you can't afford like that genuine leather, this will be a little bit more affordable. Same guts, same everything on the inside with that 7.29 font, really nice poetic settings, and it has your references in the gutter, which I really like because it pulls that text, especially on a small Bible, and then your textual footnotes are going to be on the bottom. Whenever you have something that's footnoted, it's going to be indicated by an asterisk right there, so then that lets you know to look down below. They try to line these up with the verses so you can find them very easy, which is super convenient. Now let's take a look at some of my favorite standard text NLTs. These things are amazing. And this is a new cover, and this has got a little bit of like a leafy design, but it has a neutral color, so this can really fit in the masculine or the feminine space depending on your preference. But I like that quite a bit. This is an imitation leather cover, and look at that silver gilding. Really like that. It's going to have a paper liner, and this is the giant print. I love this. This is a 12-point font, but this really reads a lot larger than a 12-point font to me. Also, this is a Filament Enabled Bible. So this gives you all the benefit of a study Bible. That's all you do is you go to the front of the Bible and you put your camera on that, and it will take you to a website that'll take you to an app for your phone. And then each page, you just scan that little symbol right there, and it'll take you to the commentary, the maps, and all kinds of really great and neat resources for your NLT. And then when you get to the poetic settings, of course, really nice. I love this big large font, and it's got a really nice red letter. This is a really deep burgundy. It's got your translation notes in the corner. I actually prefer those on the bottom. The reason because it throws your columns off a little bit, but it's really not that big of a deal, and at least they're large enough to read. And again, it has an asterisk every time there's a translator footnote, so you can check that out. So I love the personal size giant print. The next one I really like is the Thinline. This one's in a genuine leather, and this is the regular Thinline Reference. So this is going to have a 9-point font, 2-column, translator notes on that corner as well. And then, of course, your poetic settings and the words of Christ in red. And that looks to be a decent red. I think the other one's a little bit better. Seems like there's some darker and lighter spots here and there, so sometimes it's really difficult to get the red letter consistent. And then this one's probably the class here, my favorite one, and that is the Thinline. You all know I love me some large print thin lines, and this thing is super thin, barely over an inch thick. This is a full-size Bible. It's got a nice little brown faux leather cover with the design on the front, but it's going to have that classic 2-column, footnotes on the bottom, and it's going to have your references in the middle. The only thing about having your references in the middle is it is a little bit difficult to line them up with the verses because it's dealing with both sides, but this or bottom is absolutely my preference. And then when you get the poetic settings, nice and lovely there. And then when you get to the New Testament, The words of Christ, of course, are going to be in red, and that's a pretty good red. So I really like this. Also, on the back of every Filament Bible, you're going to have a little extra stuff in the back. You're going to have your visual overview of the Bible. You're going to have your maps. But you're also going to have the plagues of Egypt broken down, other maps besides that. It's going to have the breakdown of categories of Proverbs and all sorts of neat things in your Filament Bible. Lastly, goodness, this is a lot of stuff. We've got a couple really nice Bibles. Now, these are laid out in a way that I don't prefer. I prefer any one-year Bible to be laid out just in order and just let me read it in order. But I do know that doesn't work for everyone. So for the men, we have a nice little mountain on the cover, and then we have the one-year Bible embossed in there. And then it starts at the beginning on January the 1st. This is put together by Stephen and Misty Arterburn. He wrote a book called Every Man's Battle. He also has a book that he collabed with Tyndale called Every Man's Bible, which is really good too. But it starts on January the 1st. I would prefer to leave that off and just have day 1 here, so that way you can start at any point. This is designed to be done in the beginning of the year. This is a 9-point font. By the way, that thin line that I just featured, I forgot to tell you, this is a 10-point font, by the way. This is a 9-point font, so it's really nice and large, and it's broken down. You get some Old Testament, starting in Genesis, of course, here. You get some New Testament, starting in Matthew. So you read the Old Testament in order, you read the New Testament in order together, and then it gives you just a little bit of Psalms and a little bit of Proverbs, and then it gives you a little closing devotion, and then you start your second day. And that's the way this is all the way through. So this is the men's version. As you can see, the colors are a little bit more muted. They're not as bold. Got some orange and brown and black. And as we get through this, you can see Old, New Testament all together. The words of Christ are going to be in black because it'd be a little confusing to have red letters kind of dispersed all throughout the Bible. Once you get to the end, you're going to have an advertisement for the one-year Bible for women, and that's it. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the one-year Bible for women. This is a beautiful cover. I really like that they took some gold gilding and made those berries or ornaments on the tree just look really beautiful. Love the birds. This almost works for the men as far as a cover. I also like how they combine the gilding and the stamping on the spine. A little bit of stitch work here, and you can see with the ladies, they got a lot more color, and check that out. Isn't that beautiful? So you got your gold gilding, and then you've got your page edge design here, just really gorgeous. If this is something that you're into and you just get bogged down by reading the Old Testament for the majority of the year, let's be honest, if you read the Bible in a year, then for several months you are in the Old Testament. If that gets discouraging to you and you need a little bit of New Testament sprinkled in there, this is a beautiful plan. It's just not going to be able to be referenced. But one thing that's in these that you want to know is after each section, they do have the textual footnotes included. So it'll be after the section. So it's not going to be on the bottom, it's not going to be in the middle. It's just after each section that you read, if there's footnotes regarding that particular text, they'll have those in here. And then check this out. A little cute thing, a little compliment with Every Woman's Bible that you can get individually is these little prayer cards. So just really pretty. And if you want to just take one of these out and give them to an individual, you just take them right out because they're glued in. So it has a little scripture verse on the front, and then it has some prayers on the back. And again, just take this thing, it's just that simple. Just pull it, it pulls free from that glue, hand somebody a little prayer card. Pretty cool stuff. Tyndale is very innovative, and they're always coming up with some nice new covers for their Bibles. God bless you, keep calm, Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.